Top SOC Analyst interview questions and answers in 2024. Let's dive into the technical questions. One. What is a SOC and what are its primary functions? A Security Operations Center, or SOC, is a centralized unit that deals with security issues on an organizational and technical level. Its primary functions include monitoring, detecting, analyzing, and responding to cybersecurity incidents using a combination of technology solutions and a strong set of processes. 2. Can you explain the difference between IDS and IPS? IDS, or Intrusion Detection System, monitors network traffic for suspicious activity and issues alerts when such activity is discovered. IPS, or Intrusion Prevention System, goes a step further by actively preventing the detected threats. 3. What are the common types of cyber attacks? Common types include phishing, malware, ransomware, DDoS attacks, SQL injection, and man-in-the-middle attacks. 4. What is a firewall and how does it work? A firewall is a network security device that monitors and controls incoming and outgoing network traffic based on predetermined security rules. It acts as a barrier between trusted internal networks and untrusted external networks. 5. What is the CIA triad? The CIA triad refers to confidentiality, integrity, and availability, which are the three main objectives of information security. 6. Describe a phishing attack. A phishing attack is a type of social engineering attack where an attacker sends fraudulent communications that appear to come from a reputable source, typically via email, to steal sensitive data like login credentials or financial information. 7. What is malware? Malware, short for malicious software, is any software intentionally designed to cause damage to a computer, server, client, or computer network. It includes viruses, worms, Trojan horses, ransomware, spyware, and adware. 8. What tools are commonly used in a SOC? Common tools include SIEM, or Security Information and Event Management Systems, IDS, IPS, firewalls, antivirus software, endpoint detection and response tools, and vulnerability scanners. 9. Explain the concept of a Security Information and Event Management System. SIEM systems aggregate and analyze activity from various resources across your IT infrastructure. They collect security data from network devices, servers, domain controllers, and more, providing real-time analysis of security alerts generated by applications and network hardware. 10. What is incident response? Incident response is the approach taken to handle and manage the aftermath of a security breach or cyber attack. The goal is to handle the situation in a way that limits damage and reduces recovery time and costs.
Analytical skills. 11. How do you prioritize security incidents? Prioritization is based on the potential impact and likelihood of the incident. Factors include the type of data involved, the criticality of affected systems, the attack vector, and the threat actor's capabilities and intent. 12. Describe your process for analyzing a suspicious email. The process involves checking the sender's address, scrutinizing the email content for unusual language or requests, analyzing headers for anomalies, scanning for malicious attachments or links, and cross-referencing against threat intelligence databases. 13. What steps would you take if you detected a possible malware infection on a network? Steps include isolating the affected system, conducting a thorough investigation to confirm the infection, removing the malware, analyzing the malware to understand its impact, and implementing measures to prevent future infections. 14. How do you handle false positives in security alerts? Handling false positives involves refining detection rules, validating alerts with context and intelligence, continuously tuning the CM system, and leveraging machine learning and automation to improve accuracy. 15. What is the role of threat intelligence in a SOC? Threat intelligence helps in identifying, understanding, and mitigating cyber threats by providing information about adversaries, their tactics, techniques, and procedures, and real-time threat data to inform decision-making and response.
Practical scenarios. 16. You receive an alert for a possible SQL injection attack. How do you proceed? Verify the alert, check web server logs for unusual queries, identify the affected application and parameter, validate the vulnerability, isolate and mitigate the attack, and conduct a thorough analysis to prevent recurrence. 17. How would you respond to a DDoS attack? Identify and confirm the attack, implement rate limiting, use a DDoS mitigation service, update firewall and router rules to block malicious traffic, and collaborate with the ISP for further mitigation. 18. What would you do if an employee reports a suspicious file on their computer? Analyze the file for malicious characteristics, isolate the computer, run antivirus and malware scans, determine the source of the file, and educate the employee on safe practices. 19. How would you address a vulnerability found in a critical system? Assess the severity and impact of the vulnerability, prioritize the patching or remediation efforts, apply the necessary fixes, test the system after patching, and monitor for any signs of exploitation. 20. What actions would you take if you discovered an unauthorized access to a sensitive database? Immediately revoke access, investigate the breach to understand the scope and impact, notify stakeholders, perform a security audit, strengthen access controls, and monitor for any further unauthorized attempts.
Knowledge of standards and frameworks. What is the NIST Cybersecurity Framework? The NIST Cybersecurity Framework is a set of guidelines and best practices designed to help organizations manage and reduce cybersecurity risk. It consists of 5 functions: identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Explain the concept of defense in depth. Defense in depth is a layered security approach that uses multiple security measures to protect information. If one layer fails, others continue to provide protection, reducing the risk of a breach. What are the GDPR and its significance? The General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, is a European Union regulation that enhances the protection of personal data and gives individuals more control over their personal information. It imposes strict requirements on how organizations handle and process personal data. Can you explain the purpose of ISO 27001? ISO 27001 is an international standard that specifies the requirements for establishing, implementing, maintaining, and continually improving an information security management system, or ISIMS. What is the difference between compliance and security? Compliance involves adhering to specific regulations, standards, or laws, while security is the practice of protecting information and systems from threats. Compliance ensures you meet legal requirements, while security aims to protect assets.
Personal and behavioral questions. Why did you choose a career in cybersecurity? A genuine interest in technology, a desire to protect organizations from cyber threats, and the dynamic and challenging nature of the field. How do you stay updated with the latest cybersecurity trends and threats? Following industry blogs, participating in webinars, attending conferences, taking online courses, and being active in cybersecurity communities. Describe a challenging incident you handled and how you resolved it. Provide an example of a significant security incident outlining the steps taken to investigate, mitigate, and resolve the issue and the lessons learned from the experience. What motivates you to work in a SOC environment? The fast-paced nature, the opportunity to work with cutting-edge technology, the challenge of defending against evolving threats, and the sense of accomplishment in protecting the organization. How do you handle stress and pressure in a high-stakes environment? By staying organized, prioritizing tasks, taking breaks when needed, and maintaining a healthy work-life balance.
Advanced technical questions. Explain the MITRE ATT&CK framework. The MITRE ATT&CK framework is a knowledge base of adversary tactics and techniques based on real-world observations. It is used to develop threat models and methodologies in the cybersecurity community. What is a zero-day vulnerability? A zero-day vulnerability is a software flaw that is unknown to the vendor and has no patch available. It can be exploited by attackers to compromise systems before the vendor becomes aware and fixes the issue. What is the difference between symmetric and asymmetric encryption? Symmetric encryption uses the same key for both encryption and decryption, while asymmetric encryption uses a pair of keys, public and private, for encryption and decryption. How does a VPN work? A VPN, or virtual private network, creates a secure, encrypted tunnel between the user's device and the internet, protecting data from interception and ensuring privacy and security. What is the principle of least privilege? The principle of least privilege states that users should be granted the minimum level of access, or permissions, necessary to perform their job functions, reducing the risk of unauthorized access.
Specific incident handling. Describe how you would handle a ransomware attack. Isolate affected systems, identify the ransomware variant, evaluate the extent of the infection, implement backups to restore data, work with incident response teams and law enforcement, and review and strengthen security measures to prevent future attacks. What steps would you take to secure a compromised account? Immediately change the account password, review account activity for unauthorized actions, notify the account owner, and implement multi-factor authentication to enhance security. How do you investigate a potential data breach? Identify indicators of compromise, analyze logs and network traffic, determine the breach's scope and entry point, contain and mitigate the breach, and notify affected parties as required. What would you do if you found a misconfiguration in a critical system? Document the misconfiguration, assess its impact, correct the configuration, test the system for proper functionality, and review configuration management processes to prevent recurrence. How would you handle an insider threat? Monitor for suspicious behavior, conduct a thorough investigation, involve HR and legal teams, apply appropriate disciplinary measures, and review and enhance insider threat detection and prevention programs.
Understanding of networking. What is a VPN and why is it used? A VPN, or virtual private network, allows users to create a secure connection to another network over the internet, providing privacy and security by encrypting data and hiding the user's IP address. Explain the OSI model and its layers. The OSI, or Open Systems Interconnection model, is a conceptual framework used to understand network interactions. It has 7 layers: physical, data link, network, transport, session, presentation, and application. What is a subnet and why is it used? A subnet is a segmented piece of a larger network. It is used to organize and optimize network traffic, enhance security, and improve performance by reducing broadcast domains. What is DNS and how does it work? DNS, or Domain Name System, translates human-readable domain names like www.example.com into IP addresses such as 192.0.2.1 that computers use to identify each other on the network. What is port scanning and why is it used? Port scanning is the process of sending packets to specific ports on a host and analyzing the responses to identify open, closed, or filtered ports. It is used to discover network services and assess security vulnerabilities.
Security policies and procedures. What is a security policy? A security policy is a formalized set of rules and guidelines that dictate how an organization manages, protects, and distributes sensitive information and resources. Why are security policies important in a SOC? Security policies establish the framework for a consistent and effective security posture, guiding behavior, processes, and technology use to protect organizational assets and comply with regulations. Explain the concept of user awareness training. User awareness training educates employees about cybersecurity risks, safe practices, and how to recognize and respond to security threats, reducing the likelihood of successful attacks. What is a data classification policy? A data classification policy defines how an organization categorizes data based on its sensitivity and criticality, guiding handling, access, and protection measures. How do you ensure compliance with security policies? By conducting regular audits, providing ongoing training, monitoring adherence, and enforcing policies with appropriate consequences for non-compliance.
What is threat hunting? Well, threat hunting is the proactive search for cyber threats that may be lurking undetected in a network. It involves hypothesis-driven investigations and leverages various tools and intelligence sources. So how would you describe the process of threat hunting? First, you define a hypothesis. Then, you gather and analyze data from various sources, identify potential indicators of compromise, investigate anomalies, validate findings, and finally, remediate any discovered threats. And what tools are commonly used for threat hunting? Tools include SIEM systems, EDR solutions, network traffic analysis tools, threat intelligence platforms, and even custom scripts. How do you develop a hypothesis for threat hunting? By analyzing threat intelligence, understanding the organization's environment and threat landscape, and identifying potential attack vectors and behaviors. And what metrics do you use to measure the effectiveness of threat hunting? Metrics include the number of threats detected and mitigated, dwell time reduction, false positive and negative rates, and the overall improvement in the security posture.
Why is incident documentation important? Incident documentation provides a detailed record of security events, supports forensic analysis, aids in compliance and reporting, and helps improve future incident response. So what should be included in an incident report? An incident report should include a summary of the incident, a timeline of events, actions taken, an impact assessment, a root cause analysis, and recommendations for future prevention. How do you ensure accurate and thorough incident documentation? By maintaining detailed logs, following standardized reporting procedures, regularly reviewing and updating documentation, and involving all relevant stakeholders in the process. What tools can be used for incident documentation? Tools include ticketing systems, incident response platforms, SIEM solutions, and collaborative documentation tools like wikis or shared document repositories. And how do you present incident findings to non-technical stakeholders? By using clear, jargon-free language, focusing on the business impact, providing visual aids like charts or graphs, and outlining actionable recommendations.
What is a root cause analysis? Root cause analysis is the process of identifying the underlying cause of an incident or problem to prevent its recurrence. This is often done using methods like the 5 whys or fishbone diagrams. Can you explain the concept of lateral movement in cyber attacks? Lateral movement refers to the techniques attackers use to move deeper into a network after gaining initial access. They often do this to access additional systems and data. What is the difference between anomaly-based and signature-based detection? Anomaly-based detection identifies deviations from normal behavior, while signature-based detection identifies known threats by matching patterns against a database of known signatures. How do you analyze network traffic for signs of compromise? By examining traffic patterns, looking for unusual or unexpected connections, analyzing payloads for malicious content, and using tools like packet analyzers and IDS/IPS. And what is the role of a playbook in incident response? A playbook provides a predefined set of procedures and actions to follow during specific types of incidents, ensuring a consistent and efficient response.
Cybersecurity best practices. What is multi-factor authentication, or MFA, and why is it important? Well, MFA requires users to provide 2 or more verification factors to gain access to a resource, enhancing security by reducing the likelihood of unauthorized access. Next, let's explain the concept of network segmentation. Network segmentation involves dividing a network into smaller, isolated segments to limit the spread of attacks and improve security controls within each segment. And what are the best practices for password management? Best practices include using strong, unique passwords, implementing MFA, regularly updating passwords, and using password managers to securely store and manage passwords. What is a security incident, and how does it differ from a security event? A security event is any observable occurrence in a system or network, while a security incident is an event that negatively impacts the organization's security posture. Lastly, how do you ensure the security of cloud-based services? By implementing strong access controls, using encryption, regularly auditing configurations, monitoring activity, and ensuring compliance with security best practices and standards.
Hands-on skills. So, describe the process of setting up a honeypot. A honeypot is set up by deploying a decoy system designed to attract attackers, configuring it to appear as a legitimate target, and monitoring and analyzing interactions to gather intelligence on attack methods. How do you perform a vulnerability scan? By using a vulnerability scanner to identify and assess security weaknesses in systems and networks, analyzing the results, and prioritizing and remediating the discovered vulnerabilities. What is log analysis and why is it important? Log analysis involves examining log entries to detect and investigate security incidents, understand system behavior, and ensure compliance with security policies. How do you configure and manage firewall rules? By defining and implementing rules based on security policies, regularly reviewing and updating rules, and monitoring firewall logs to ensure effective protection. And what steps would you take to secure a wireless network? Steps include enabling strong encryption, like WPA3, setting a strong SSID and password, disabling WPS, using a guest network for visitors, and regularly updating firmware.
Security tools and technologies. What is an endpoint detection and response, or EDR, solution? EDR is a set of tools and solutions that monitor, detect, and respond to security threats on endpoints, such as computers and mobile devices, in real time. Next, explain the purpose of a SIEM system. A SIEM system aggregates, correlates, and analyzes security data from various sources to provide real-time threat detection, incident response, and compliance reporting. How do you use threat intelligence platforms? By integrating threat intelligence into security tools, analyzing threat data to identify and prioritize threats, and using the insights to enhance incident detection and response. What is the role of antivirus software in a SOC? Antivirus software helps detect, quarantine, and remove malicious software, providing an additional layer of defense against malware infections. Finally, describe the function of a Network Intrusion Detection System, or NIDS. NIDS monitors network traffic for suspicious activity and potential threats, generating alerts for security analysts to investigate and respond.
Compliance and governance. What is PCI DSS and why is it important? PCI DSS, or Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, is a set of security standards designed to ensure the safe handling of cardholder information. It's crucial for organizations that process credit card payments. Explain the significance of HIPAA in cybersecurity. HIPAA, which stands for Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, sets standards for protecting sensitive patient data. It requires organizations to implement robust security measures to ensure confidentiality, integrity, and availability. What are the key principles of the GDPR? Key principles include lawfulness, fairness, transparency, purpose limitation, data minimization, accuracy, storage limitation, integrity, and confidentiality. How do you ensure compliance with cybersecurity regulations? By staying informed about relevant regulations, implementing necessary controls, conducting regular audits, and documenting compliance efforts. What is the role of a Data Protection Officer, DPO? A DPO ensures an organization complies with data protection laws, oversees data protection strategies, and acts as a point of contact between the organization and regulatory authorities.
Incident response plans. What is an incident response plan, IRP? An IRP is a predefined set of procedures and guidelines for detecting, responding to, and recovering from security incidents. The goal is to minimize impact and restore normal operations. Why is it important to regularly update and test an IRP? Regular updates and tests ensure the plan remains effective, reflects the current threat landscape and organizational changes, and improves response readiness. What are the key components of an effective IRP? Key components include preparation, identification, containment, eradication, recovery, and lessons learned. How do you conduct a post-incident review? By analyzing the incident, identifying what worked well and what didn't, documenting findings, and implementing improvements to prevent future incidents. What is the role of communication in incident response? Effective communication ensures timely and accurate information sharing among stakeholders, facilitates coordination, and maintains transparency during an incident.
Personal experience and skills. Describe a time when you successfully mitigated a security threat. Provide a specific example, detailing the threat, your actions, and the outcome. What cybersecurity certifications do you hold? Mention relevant certifications such as CSSP, CEH, CompTIA, Security Plus, etc. How do you manage your time when handling multiple incidents? By prioritizing incidents based on severity, delegating tasks, and using incident management tools to track and organize work. What is your experience with forensic analysis? Describe your experience with collecting, analyzing, and preserving digital evidence to investigate security incidents. How do you approach learning new security tools and technologies? By taking online courses, participating in hands-on labs, reading documentation, and practicing in a lab environment.
Advanced threats and mitigation. What is an APT and how do you defend against it? An APT, or Advanced Persistent Threat, is a prolonged and targeted cyber attack aimed at stealing sensitive information. Defenses include implementing multi-layered security, continuous monitoring, and leveraging threat intelligence. Explain the concept of sandboxing. Sandboxing isolates and executes suspicious files or code in a controlled environment to observe behavior without risking harm to the actual system. How do you detect and respond to a botnet infection? By identifying unusual network traffic patterns, isolating infected systems, removing the malware, and implementing measures to prevent reinfection. These questions help assess both technical knowledge and the ability to respond to practical, real-world scenarios.